Hello, this is Kathy Campbell with Coldwell Banker. I'm here today with Lisa Schuring. Lisa is one of my favorite go-to consultants. Lisa is a color consultant. She has an eye for color that is really just a wonderful gift that you have. There's been times I've had a problem selling a home, or maybe the exterior needs a little bit of sprucing up a little bit, I guess would be a good word. I've sent the photo to Lisa. She's analyzed the color scheme and given some great ideas on colors of front doors or ways to maybe spruce up the exterior. So I really enjoy Lisa. I know from personal experience she's very good at what she does. So today we've asked Lisa to share some ideas on how to pick the right paint color for the interior of your home. So
okay,
please
thank
teach
you, Kathy.
us.
Thanks for inviting me to do this. This will be fun.
Sure.
So I thought today I'd just share with you just a little information, kind of unknown information that's really important when you're choosing a color. On the back of a color swatch, you will see a number that's listed as the LRV number. And most people don't know what this is, but it's actually super helpful if you do know what it is in choosing your color. So LRV stands for light reflective value. I've also seen it as light reflectance value, but most people say light reflective value. So it's the amount of light basically that is absorbed by paint or reflected back at you. So
when I look at this color, I'm seeing a lot of light being reflected, right? So that would be a higher value?
Right, higher value.
Okay,
so
what's this guy?
The value of this one is 82. If light reflective value goes from 0 to 100. 0 being totally black and 100 being total white.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. So if you go to the middle of 50, then anything above 50 is considered a lighter color. Anything below 50 is considered a lower color. Now there is a magic LRV number, and that's 62. Most
62.
people, 62, remember that number?
I will, because that's my age, right? So 62 is the perfect number.
Easy peasy.
I love it.
So it's just, they've just found that most people find anywhere between 62 and 72, 73 a really livable space. It's like they feel at ease. It's a little on the lighter side. Right now, what's trending are super light colors, right?
Okay.
Lots of white, lots of off-white. So if you want to be on trend, you're going to look for off-white colors that are anywhere from 72 to 83 LRV. Those are considered off-white. They'll still have enough contrast if you wanted to do white trim. It would still have a little bit of contrast. Anything above 82 is basically you're putting white on your walls with maybe some different undertones. 62 is the magic number for colors saturation.
For people feeling comfortable.
Yeah. Okay. For example, now this color right here, alabaster, is a really popular color that people put in their homes when they want to have white walls. This is LRV of 82. So it's not total white. It's going to have some warmth to it, but the space is going to feel expansive, light, and airy. And of course, a color like this, you can put anything with it.
Yeah.
A lot of people right now like Soji white. This is 74, so it's interesting. It's just really similar to alabaster. But Soji, you can see that they're different in that Soji has some more gray, or it's called umber undertones, but that's also a really livable color. Accessible beige is a popular color. These colors that I'm sharing with you today are all Sherwin-Williams, just because I have a lot of their color cards for you. It's a really reliable paint brand. I love Benjamin Moore. I like a lot of different brands, but I'm just going to show you this today because also they make it really easy to see the LRV on the back.
And
so
what's this one?
This is accessible beige. This is considered a true beige that doesn't pull pinks or purples or beiges are kind of tricky.
I was telling you about I painted a home beige once and it got finished and my house was orange.
Yeah.
So you don't realize those undertones are tricky.
Yeah. So, but this one has an LRV of 58. So you can see it's really close to that 62, that magic number. And so this one is going to also feel light enough in your house. Repose gray is another color. This is a really good gray that doesn't pull blue or violet. And it's the LRV of 58. So you can see it's kind of in that magic area.
You don't happen to have agreeable gray, do you?
I do, right here.
That's a color that I get a lot of people like.
This is really popular. A lot of home builders put this in their home because one thing also about these grays is agreeable gray is what's considered a grayish. So here you have accessible beige and repose gray. This is considered a true beige, and this is considered a true gray. And if you put useful or agreeable gray there, you can see that it pulls both of those colors.
That's why people.
That's
and what's the
called a
reflective
grayish.
AO then?
That's 60. So these are
Okay,
all
very
really,
close.
really
Okay.
good colors that you could put throughout your whole house and have it be livable space. When you're considering a color for your home, you want to consider how much light streams in. How much natural light does it get? How much time are you going to spend in there? What's the feeling you want in that room? If you go with a little heavier saturation, you can offset it with white. Like in here, this is these walls are Revere Pewter. They have an LRV of 57.
Okay.
I wanted it to feel a little lighter. I tend towards the lighter, airier, beachy kind of look.
Okay.
So I paired it with some white wainscoting.
And what color is your white in here?
That's alabaster.
Okay.
Yeah, that's alabaster. That's probably 50% alabaster. That's a color that I'll do often if I don't want too much. Alabaster has a little bit of gray to it, so if I want it to just be a little cleaner, I'll do 50%, which is really easy to do.
Okay.
So think about the room, think about how you want people to feel in it, think if you want it to feel expansive and airy, or are you going for drama? Are you going for mood, right? So when you want mood and drama, you can go for these more heavily saturated colors, which are super fun.
So these would be more in the 30s or?
This one is 15.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one, of course, here's black, right? So that's black, and that's 3.
I do see accent walls in black and navy.
Yeah, yeah. Urban bronze is a popular color right now. That has an LRV of 8. But I wanted to show you, so these right here, now these colors, and I think I have a green that's really, this is such a pretty color. I saw an entire house when I was in Nashville, Tennessee. The whole exterior was done in this retreat, and it is beautiful. This is a great color for your door too. But these colors, so this has an LRV of 21, 15, and 23. So these colors are gonna create mood and drama. You could put it like in a theater room, put it in a bathroom and pair it with white wainscoting. Use it as an accent wall. I would not want to have all 4 walls in this color with very little natural light, right? Because it would be too dark. And also when the colors are that heavily saturated, the walls can kind of tend to like close in on you a little bit. So LRV is super important. Just remember, if you're going for like drama and mood, maybe 50 and under. If you're going for light and airy, kind of an expansive feeling, go 50 or more. 62 is the magic number.
Right.
So,
and I do believe that your tip on maybe not doing the entire room in that solid color is really helpful. Often when selling your home, you want your space to look as large as possible, and people do like the accent walls, but sometimes if they're all 4 walls, it does make the room appear smaller.
Right.
So.
One other thing I want to tell you, and I don't have any cards to compare it with, but when you are choosing colors for your home, one thing that most people will do is they will choose a color that's too pure or too much clarity, and so they want like a soft aqua or like a soft blue, for their bathroom or bedroom. But they'll put a color up that will end up looking like Play-Doh on the wall.
Very bright.
Because it doesn't have enough black or umber or brown. To tone a wall down and make the paint livable, where you feel calm and peaceful, it really has to have some umber, which is gray-brown. It has to have gray, it has to have brown, it has to have something to tone the clarity down. You don't want a bright blue wall.
And is there some way I can tell, okay, there's umber in this color?
Yeah, well, that's where I come into play.
Okay, call Lisa.
You bring it to me and I go, okay, that is way too bright. You're gonna look like unless you're decorating a room for a 3-year-old and you want it to look like sherbet walls. This is something I help a lot of people. Like a lot of people will bring me colors that I go, okay, we're gonna tone it way down. So here you have these blues here, right? So somebody might bring me a color like that, or even like this aqua. They might bring me that color. So it's very bright. It's a really beautiful color, really clear. But what you're gonna really want on your wall is Tidewater. So you're gonna wanna tone it down with, see how this is way toned down? It's got a lot of gray undertones. And it's gonna look, when you have it on your wall, see that the white, it's gonna look beautiful and it's gonna be bright enough for you, but it's not going to look
The
like
much
the blue.
brightness. Yeah.
You know, one thing you could do is pull different cards and compare them. So pull the color you want. You think, oh, this is the bright color I want. And then go look at the grays. You'll be able to find the color that you want.
With the undertones that
like
make it
this
more...
color right here, this is called magnetic gray. This color is going to be a really, really soft light blue on your walls. Really beautiful. So look towards the grays to find kind of the colors that you
Great tip.
interested in. Yeah.
Thank you.
One thing that's really important.
Yes.
The sheen.
Sheen, I know.
Yeah,
Gloss,
sheen that you
flat.
choose.
I see more and more matte homes, and sometimes they have a lot of fingerprints on them.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. Really, you should really just be putting matte on your ceiling.
Okay.
So it goes, and each paint brand is different.
They have a different name for matte.
And so that's another thing is make sure you go to the store and look at their sheens, because you might tell them something you think you want satin, and their satin is really more like a low luster semi-gloss. But you'll find, and this is kind of in the gradient order of like no sheen to high sheen.
Okay.
So flat, matte, eggshell, my personal favorite, and I'll talk about that.
Okay.
Satin, low luster semi-gloss, high gloss.
Okay.
So
Well, that's
those
a
are-
lot of choices. More
Those
than
are a lot of choices. Most people, they'll go satin. Satins, they think that's a pretty safe bet, and it is. But I find that most satins have too much sheen in them. And what you want is you want just your room to kind of have elegance and just this soft kind of glow that you can see on
A
this.
little bit of eggshell.
Just barely reflects the light. One reason you want to do this, especially if you're painting an older home, the higher the sheen, the more flaws and defects will show with the higher sheen. So if you want to cover up flaws and defects, you go a lower sheen.
That makes sense.
I would never personally put flat or matte on my walls because it feels like chalk. This has enough smoothness, and that's what really pretty washable. You want a higher sheen if it's an area that you're going to have to scrub down and clean a lot. So like the back of, if you don't have backsplash, so then you could go, I would never go semi-gloss. The only place I put semi-gloss is like on my wooden spindles on my staircase. I just think semi-gloss just is a little garish.
Okay.
So I would live with eggshell and satin.
That sounds great.
And
May I ask you a question? Once in a while I show a home, or we help prepare a home to sell, and the walls need a little touch-up work. You know, they pulled out the nails. But I've gone through homes that it looks like there's just freckles of the different sheen of paint on the wall. Can you ever touch up a paint, or would you just say repaint the whole wall? But
you can really only touch it up if you have the original paint can. Even if you go to the paint store and you buy the exact sheen and you buy the exact color, sometimes because of the way the sunlight has, you know, cured the paint and how it, if it's been on the wall for 10 years, if you put new paint on top of it, even if it's supposedly the exact match,
you still know
show it. Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to paint the whole wall.
Sometimes, that's worth it. Yeah. I was going to add, I think I talked a little bit about undertones. Be careful of undertones. A lot of paints will pull a different way. Blues can be tricky. Grays can be tricky. Grays can pull a violet or a blue tone. Beige can pull a yellow or an orange tone or a pink tone. So get online and do your research, because actually there's so much information.
So like
online.
if I'm doing research and I don't want to paint with gray undertones, or what do I look for? How do I search?
So go to the paint store, you find the color you like, you think, oh, I like this color, go put it into the computer and research repose gray, what are its undertones, and it will, there's a lot of color experts that have done all the work. And then also one way to make sure that you're getting the right color is spend that extra money on the sample.
Okay, so what did this cost you?
This one is an HV. So this one was from Lowe's. So this is about $6.50. I actually have painted rooms without samples, but that's just because like I've seen the color somewhere, I know it's a great color, or I can see that it's going to be a great color and it works out great. But really, honestly, this is the color I did my exterior doors on the 3 exterior doors. It's called Fawn Brindle. It was great to sample it and find that actually it's a great match to my soften and fascia. So that's worth the extra $6.50.
And will you paint it directly on the wall, or will you paint it on like a poster board and put it on different?
Well, I mean, I do paint it on the wall, but the smartest thing would be to paint it on, if you could get a piece of drywall, because if you do paint it on the wall, just be careful when you're painting it to not leave kind of like a thick edge. Feather your edge.
Okay.
That way it will blend better when you eventually paint the wall. I paint it on the wall, just I like to see it right on the wall. But that's going to save you a lot of money, a lot of heartache. And take your time, because morning light is a clear blue light. Afternoon light is a golden.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
So, you know, consider how often are you in that room? What time of day are you in that room? What kind of light will be streaming in here? So take all those things into consideration. And then most paints these days, you don't have to prime your walls. Most of them, this one is a Benjamin Moore brand, and it's a paint and primer in one. And they're actually, I started painting with my dad when I was 16. And back then we used oil-based paints where you had to get it off with turpentine, and it was just a big ordeal. This paint washes off with soap and water. Any, you know, Sherwin-Williams, any brand really these days is good. When you go to the paint store, they'll have maybe 4 different, you know, cashmere, whatever, different types of paint. And if you'll do your research, you can find out which ones, you know, gives really good coverage, which one cleans up really well. And I actually have a few paint stores I like to go to because I feel like the people behind the counter are really helpful. But you really can paint your own room. It's not as hard as it used to be. This is another final tip. I got burned on this once. You'll go and find a color you love and then decide to go down to a local hardware store and get a less expensive brand of paint and have them do, because most of them have access to the colors, the Benjamin Moore colors or Sherwin-Williams or whatever it might be. Most of them will have access to that color. You might even take in the color card and ask them to color match it, and they can, you know, put it into their computer and come up with a pretty good color match, but it will not be the exact match. Okay. And that little, if you're like me, I'm kind of just like really particular.
You can tell.
I can tell. So I put, for instance, one year I put gray owl in a bathroom, and gray owl is a Benjamin Moore color that is supposed to be a really good gray with no undertones of blue. And my bathroom looked blue because I went and bought a paint from a hardware store, and I didn't go and get a Benjamin Moore. I mean, there's different. Now, actually, Benjamin Moore is easier to get, but I didn't go to a paint store where I was getting Benjamin Moore brand, and it showed.
You could tell the difference.
Yeah. Okay. So
you recommend is acrylic is what it's called, washable?
This is latex.
Latex is yours. Okay, so she recommends latex paint that's washable, a lot easier to clean up and spills.
Yeah, and that has a primer in it. It says on there. So interior paint and primer, and this is an eggshell. These are great paints, and then you don't have to do double work of priming. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you're a bundle of knowledge. Thank you. Hope you've learned a lot today, and I'm sure if you have comments or questions, please feel free to post them, and we'll get Lisa to answer them in her expert way and make all the world a beautiful place. Have a great day.